If you guys are watching this video, you are some of the most hardcore fans that I have on here, and I appreciate you guys for doing that. And you guys probably already know that, well, I'm Canadian. More specifically, I'm Albertan. And we have gone under one of the most draconian versions of the second wave of lockdowns that have been hitting Canada, the United States, over there in Europe as well. And Karening is hitting an all-time fucking high because, as you can see, a peaceful protest broke out in Chinook Mall, which I've been to a few times, in Calgary, and oh my god, you could just see Thomas Cuck, whatever his fucking name is. He is a former deputy premier, cabinet minister. Yeah, he's clearly one of those old fucking holdovers from the NDP. Government here in Alberta, which sucked a fucking dick. So, Jason Kenney, how is that cowardly COVID-19 Alberta plan working out at Chinook Mall? Dr. Hinshaw, is this what you advise? Did retail workers have a choice to absent themselves? Any casualties are on your conscience? What a fucking cylindrical shaped enthusiast. How about that one? I'll let your guys' mind wander on that one. Well, okay, why is this guy fucking flipping his collective lid? Well, okay, here's what we have. We have some terrible numbers here, okay? We got running reported death rate for the past few months of the pandemic. As you can see, it was just so bad in April, and then everybody started to go back to work and things were going fine. And as more testing became available, okay, yes, deaths started to go up, and oh my god, it crested there, and you can hardly believe it. That is just despicable what we see here. But here, we'll give you the basic numbers, what we got here today, because I want to be completely transparent in what I'm reporting, because I don't want to go ahead and give you any bad information. So as of yesterday, I had to report another 1,728 cases. Oh man, it's tough, especially when 5 people died. Five. And they were in their 80s, by the way. A couple days ago, what was it, like 7 or 8 people died. There were another 1,500 cases. I couldn't find the results. It was on CTV. I seen it, and it made me a couple days ago want to go over this story in full, because that's when we're going to get to the lockdown measures here, and they make me want to physically go out and peacefully protest, but I won't, because, I'm a sane human being, and it's much more important that I get the information out there than go down and cause a ruckus and knock over a couple of homeless encampments. But I'll leave that to the attendees themselves. But like I was saying, yeah, 8 people died a couple days ago. They were 2 of them were in their 90s, a few of them were in their 80s, and I think there was one person who was in their 60s. Yes, that's what we're shutting down the entire province over. The entire province. Meanwhile, where I live, up north, we aren't seeing fuck all when it comes to new cases. You don't believe me? I've got the papers. We've got the documents. Okay, as you can see, this lovely color-coded graph, it kind of looks like Atari 2600's representation of a kente cloth, but most of the case makeup comes from Calgary, from Edmonton. That makes sense. The most populous cities in the entire province. And if you wanted to do shutdowns there that don't fucking work and aren't recommended by the WHO, by the way, if I have to say that another time. But yeah, as you can see, Calgary is kind of just, consistent with the percentages of new cases. Edmonton, about the same. The central zone, that encompasses places like Red Deer, that encompasses a few of the other municipalities in the middle there, and then the south zone, where there is a shit ton of large cities like Medicine Hat. I think Lloydminster's probably in the central, but now I'm just talking shop. That's probably a little bit too specific for what everybody else is familiar with. But there are several large cities, and I'll put that in brackets because Alberta, outside of Edmonton and Calgary, doesn't have any relatively large 6-digit cities. I think Medicine Hat's getting close to it, but Lloydminster's nowhere near that. Fort McMurray is about the same size as Grand Prairie here. It's 75,000 people, so yeah. And we are this lovely little green guy up there. And you see, oh my god, it's so terrible. 102 cases in a city that's about 70,000 people with a service area of about 100,000. We need to just fucking lock it all down. And you know why I think that is patently fucking retarded up here in places like, well, the entire province, but I'll just be specific to Grand Prairie why we have to deal with these draconian lockdowns. Where I had it to begin with, okay, deaths per day. Yeah, oh my God, it's terrible. 9. That's where we peaked. 9. 9.5 people. Okay, I guess when you're like 90, does it really much matter because you would have been knocked over by a stiff breeze anyways. But here's a little byline that they like to cover up about what is that, about 40% down the article? A vast majority of deaths have occurred among Albertans who are over the age of 60. Oh, buddy. And people over the age of 80 make up more than half the total deaths. That's being a little disingenuous. Canadians age 85 and older account for over half of excessive deaths amid COVID-19. Canadians age 85 and older account for more than half of the excess deaths reported amid the COVID-19 pandemic, according to new data from Statistics Canada between March and June 2020 as COVID-19 spreads across the country. Canada saw an estimated 7,576 excessive deaths. I know that's like a small state, but we don't nearly have the same kind of widespread testing available up here. You gotta fucking jump through hoops in order to get something shoved up your nose, which is odd because you could only pay $20 and you'd be able to do that and wouldn't be able to test for anything, but you might be able to catch something if you catch my drift. That figure refers to deaths that exceed the number that would normally be expected during any given time period, and that's also the number that Trump liked to hold up as a very reliable statistic that actually, the United States is doing pretty good. We just have really good testing, and our excess mortality rate is lower than, well, if not all of Europe, pretty much all of it, and only Canada was somewhere, I think, really close to it. If we weren't beating the States, we were somewhere in the mix. Anyways. Of these excessive deaths, StatsCan found that 52% were individuals age 85 and older, 36% were age 65 to 84, and 12% were younger than 65. But it doesn't quite break down what the fuck these people were. Were they morbidly obese? Did they have diabetes? Were they lung cancer survivors? Did they have melanoma? Did they wear sunscreen all the time? It doesn't really fucking matter because none of the data is actually ever going to be properly cataloged. It probably will a few decades down the line once this is a history lesson or potentially precedent for whatever the next pandemic is going to be. COVID 2025, who fucking knows? This reflects the fact that the deaths caused directly by COVID-19 disproportionately affect the elderly. Holy fuck. Hopefully you got paid a lot for making that groundbreaking statement. 8,345 people died due to COVID-19, and 4,615, 55% of those individuals were aged 85 and older. Oh my God. You know what? Just because this article's right here, let's take a look at the Albertans. Here are the Albertans that fucking bit the big one. 81, 34. There was something, I think this dude was recovering, he had diabetes and shit. I knew somebody who knew him. There was something fucked up with his history as well. 71, 67, 85, and 57 in hospital. Something tells me she wasn't necessarily the most healthy of individuals. But if we back it off to Canada, 89, 101, no date listed, but you can probably put 2 and 2 together there. 81, 93, 82, 92. Have I made my point? Okay, yeah, there's a couple of people in there that, are rather young, but I'm sure if you parse out the information there, I'm sure there are a couple of people who are fairly young who ended up dying from this, and I do feel bad for all of those people who prematurely lost their grandparents, their parents, or horrifically enough, maybe their kids. There is one person who died who was under the age of 10 in the world. Yep. So there is precedent for this, therefore we should lock down everything. But do you guys want to lock down as bad as Alberta has? Unless otherwise stated, the following mandatory restrictions come into effect November 24th and will be in place for at least 3 weeks. Yes, at least 3 weeks. I fucking hold my breath at the fact that this isn't going to last just 3 weeks. No indoor social gatherings in any settings throughout the entire province. I already showed you that the caseload is up here in the Northern District, which, if I wasn't terribly clear, that encompasses Grand Prairie and Fort McMurray. Let that one sink in for a minute. 100 and some odd cases. I'll lock everything down. Outdoor gatherings, max of 10 people. Okay. Yesterday, overnight, it snowed Like fucking 8 inches here, okay? And earlier in the week, it was like 20 fucking below. Nobody's doing outdoor gatherings. Unless you're calling working outside on the rigs as outdoor gatherings. Nobody's fucking doing that shit, by the way. It's too goddamn cold, and that's for the entire province. Weddings and funeral services, max of 10, no receptions. Yep, that's been like that throughout the entire year, by the way. No festivals or events. Which ones would be on right now? Like a festival of lights where you just do a drive-through where you just take a look at the pretty Christmas lights. As much as I'm a big fan of that, I don't think much is changing. I guess they're probably not doing this, the horse-drawn carriage for like Candy Cane Lane. I'm sure your guys' city probably has something similar where you got a block of people or maybe just like a park full of lights and you do they'd have the carolers and all those hokey activities for Christmas, which I'm a big fan of. You probably see some Christmas lights and a wreath in the background. I'm a big queer for Christmas. Anyways, grades 7 to 12 at-home learning, November 30th through January 11th. That's why I wanted to get this video out today because, pretty much every fucking school is going to be closed. Why? Because 80 and 90-year-olds are dying. And kindergarten through grade 6 at home just aren't coming back from the break. Just aren't coming back from Christmas break, which was extended or shifted or fucking something. And that's, once again, all of this stuff right now is for the entire province. That's fucking so stupid. Working from home should be considered where possible. Why is the government mandating that? They should look after the provincial entities like the courthouses and the police precincts if you want to do that. Send home all your administrators, and just goes to show how useless actual physical buildings have become in this day and age with the power of the internet. And now we go into very specific instances like Calgary, Edmonton, and purple areas, wherever they want to designate as the high intensity areas. Yeah, like some places have red or yellow or green, but over here in Alberta, it's purple because our provincial flag is blue. Okay, I guess maybe blue's probably the good zone. I don't give a fuck at this point. Places of worship at 1/3 normal attendance with mandatory masking. Fun. Restricted access to some buildings starting November 27th. So yeah, they can just shut down your small business if they decide to do that. Mandatory masks for indoor workplaces. And guess what? Here in Alberta, here more specifically in Grand Prairie, like I said, I forget which video that was. It doesn't matter. It bears repeating. There is a $100 fine if you go into any indoor business, and the business itself can be charged $200 if they do not enforce the mandatory mask policy in all of Grand Prairie. And like I said, 5 deaths in the entire province, 100 cases in the Northern Alberta district. And we are living under a tyranny because people are blatantly not following the science like they said that they would. I gave props to Jason Kenney for holding off on this, but the fact that he wants to impose and is imposing all of this retardedly overreaching, over-exaggerated data that he has, can't in good conscience vote for him again. Probably would just end up sitting out the next election, but there is hope on the horizon. There is a bunch of people who are putting together, I guess, kind of another version of the old Wild Rose Party in Alberta. I know I'm being terribly granular in this. Here, I'll explain it to you. It was more of an actual right-ish, center-right wing party, because here in Alberta, as fucking conservative as we are, as conservative voting as we have ever been, everything is just kind of center to center left when it comes to conservative politics. The Progressive Conservative Party or the Conservative Party of Canada, whatever the fuck they call themselves, a rose by another name would still smell as shitty. And it's, for all intents and purposes, been a one-party rule over here, except for that one fucking brainwave idea that we had, hey, we should vote for the NDP for 4 years. I didn't, by the way. And that led to a very, very horrific slight recession here. It was the biggest economic downturn that we ever seen over the course of 4 years. And yeah, Kenney, for all of his merits, definitely did turn that around, because we were, if not the first province, one of the first provinces to institute a provincial carbon tax because Rachel Notley, who was the leader and, unfortunately, the premier for a minute. She thought that she would save the economy by kneecapping it and putting in a carbon tax. And as soon as Jason Kenney was elected, he revoked that carbon tax, and gas immediately, just for context, went from $1.20 per liter down to under 90, or about 99 from about the time that he got into power. So I liked what he was doing. This is a horrific overcorrection because lockdowns don't work, and we have seen that everywhere, and they keep fucking trying them, and now it's right at my doorstep, and I've been trumpeting this forever, and now that it affects me directly, I'm going to be very, very loud about this because I foresee in about 2.5 weeks, because this went into effect on the 24th, so I'd imagine this is going to go through Christmas. No indoor social gatherings. Like, you can fucking tell anybody around here to do that. Yeah, suck my dick. But yeah, you know what, guys? Go out there. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll hit you up tomorrow morning, and we'll find something fun to talk about now, won't we? Thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.